I've been instructed that I get too excitable during these segments, so to introduce the competition, which is amazing for this week, is Steampunk Justin.
Right, this week what you can win.
Wait, I love that.
Go on.
All right, what you can win is an epic little Wolsung prize. So what you're going to win is 2 starter factions. So one for the aristocrats, one for the inventors, one of the warehouses, one of the apartment blocks, one of the walkway sets, and a rulebook for you to get started playing this epic little game.
Basically everything you need to play a wonderful, wonderful game of Volsung.
Oh, indeed.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about 40K. Now, before some of you switch off, that's not all we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be talking about Volsung. We're going to be talking about some hobby stuff. And I'm going to be talking about some orc information. Information.
Ew.
Do you know what? Watch the show. Welcome to the Weekender!
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning,
Good
everybody.
morning. So, I'm going to get a sup of tea. We have a bumper episode. At this point, I have no idea how long this episode's going to be, but I suspect long. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to get through. First things first, I want to thank everybody for entering the Dust competition. Dust is on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen, Dust is on Kickstarter. Dust is amazing. Dust is for anybody like me and Lloyd that lack time.
So I'm just left out of this, thank you.
Yes, because your brain
If you
works
have
differently.
enough time to do this,
Yeah.
What?
then you have
This was a
time.
very quick costume build, surprisingly enough.
Here's the thing, right? We told Justin we were going to be doing a Volsung demo game. One of the guys from Volsung was coming in, who will be joining us in the show in a little while.
Volsung.
Volsung.
As we've learned, because in the video that we put out earlier in the week,
We called it Wolsung.
sometimes we're calling it Wolsung.
Yeah, it's difficult. Volsung, Volsung, it's all the
It's the
same.
same as the whole Michael Whitman.
Anyway, so we said, Justin, we're going to be doing something steampunk. Justin squealed like a little girl and ran around in circles like a little puppy dog, and his eyes lit up. I've never seen you so happy. It was. I've only ever seen you that happy once before, and that was Christmas morning. You stayed with us.
Oh, yes.
And I got you King of Tokyo.
King of
And
Tokyo.
Justin was more excited than my daughter.
I'm sorry, it was completely unexpected. Completely unexpected, which made it all the more special.
Well,
and I
anyway.
still thank you for it.
Well, it was lovely, and it was lovely to see how excited Justin is. A huge steampunk fan, and he had to come on the show dressed like a knob. Anyway, so speaking of knobs, right?
Hey, come on.
Right?
Yes, these.
These have knobs that I recognise on the top. Are they called knobs? What are they? What are
No,
they
no,
called?
the caps.
Oh, they're
The
caps.
caps.
Oh, sorry, I thought you twist them like a knob.
I
Okay.
took these for
Yeah.
alchemical vials. You said there's something dirty, so be quiet.
Well, I wondered what he was using it for. Anyway,
I thought you'd raided the sperm bank or something.
No.
for these things.
These are preformed.
hang on a
for
second,
Coca-Cola
Lloyd.
bottles.
What? A sperm bank for an elephant, or what?
Well, what's this floating around inside?
That's liquid. That's chemicals.
No, there's definitely something else floating
No,
around in
there is something else in there.
Ah,
Actually, what is that?
I
I
touched
think my
it and
alchemical
everything.
vial has bred something. Ew.
You've created life in a jar.
Well, life in a preformed Coke bottle.
That's okay. We'll foster that and get it to present our 40K
Right, let's see if I
coverage.
can make it fit back in.
Right. Okay. So
This is a preformed Coke bottle.
Yeah, that's what they're made from.
That's a Coca-Cola bottle before it actually turns into a Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah. Basically, I got a whole pile of them. I'm not sure if I can get any more, but if I can, I will, because I know you want to try them for a bit of terrain work. And then I just got a Nerf dart bandolier.
Love it.
Perfect.
Love it.
Perfect. And then in London, I had to pick up my gentlemanly top hat and
Yes.
goggles.
I thought you were going to stick cogs on this.
No, that's John, because he has done one as well.
So you and John are both in this together.
Yes.
Brilliant. Right, back to Dust, okay?
Yeah.
So, Justin, just to recap, Yes, you have too much time on your hands. Lloyd, back to me and you. Dust is on fire. Is doing really well on Kickstarter. There was a fantastic update went up a couple of days ago where Paolo put up pictures of the premium painted stuff. So some of the guys are bidding fairly high money to get the premium painted stuff that Paolo Studio does. And the premium painted models come out looking exactly like the pictures on the box.
Exactly like it, because we've been over in Battlefront in England there, and I was looking at them in the cabinet going, are these the ones they took the photos of? And he's like, no, they're just the ones that arrive. I'm like, what? They actually look like the photos?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So what you get
when you're paying for that,
what you get in the standard retail box is the primed version. So they're not pre-painted, but they are pre-built, pre-primed.
with some little decals on them.
With decals and stuff on. And don't worry about the decals, because a lot of you guys are saying, oh, the decals, you know, typically what you're doing to these is weathering them. You'll see it whenever we launch Dust to Dust. Don't worry about the decals. However, you can go for the pre-painted service, which, to be fair, is fairly good value for money considering what you're getting.
I was surprised. Like I said, they look like the stuff on the box, and I went, this is what you get for what you pay. That's pretty good and time saving and pretty cost effective as well.
We were giving away in the last episode 2 starter sets. They're brand new starter sets, by the way, because some people were asking, are they the old starter sets? No, these are brand new starter sets. They contain the Dust Tactics rules. The Dust Tactics, the new Dust book that I was showing in the last episode isn't out yet, but I happen to have a copy of it.
So what? They've updated cards, don't they?
They have updated cards. They have the updated rules for tactics. Some people were asking about Dust Battlefield and the whole Dust Warfare, Dust Battlefield thing. Okay, Battlefield is the new Warfare for all pretenses purposes. And Battlefield is not just tactics with no squares. Battlefield adds a whole host of additional advanced rules. So you can, of course, use your full gaming table with all the terrain. There's no squares or anything, but it also adds additional, deeper rules.
So it's basically taking Dust Tactics and turning it into the grown-ups war game.
Well, no, it's not about grown-ups.
No, I really like Dust Tactics.
Maybe misspoken. If I have, I apologise.
Well, no, you're allowed to say that, okay? Because some people out there might be thinking it, so it's a good thing to raise. They're 2 different games for 2 different times.
Yeah,
okay?
don't be thinking that Dust Tactics is Dust in a lighter form. It's not. It's just a different play style.
Yeah. So Dust. What we really liked about Dust Tactics is there was no tape measures, nothing like that. We were able to get the stuff out. There was never any arguments over whether something was in cover or not in cover, or whether it was in range or not in range. So if you get to the stage, and every gamer does, where you're maybe playing 40K, for example, okay? And 40K is a very heavily involved game. There's a lot going on there. Maybe for the other game that you want to play with your mates, you don't want all those additional layers of complexity that for some games are unnecessary. Dust Tactics allows you to get the beauty of Dust, but without those particular additional layers. There's no ambiguity. It's a lovely, structured game.
Is there much cut down on the actual game time? So maybe if you're running short of time, you'll
Tactics
pick one
will
over
be
the
quicker
other?
to play.
It will be quicker because you, instead of measuring, you're just going boom, boom, boom.
So if you have a week where you have less time, you can still get your fix of a Dust game.
Now,
And the other thing is, if you want to play, say, a 6-player game, Dust Tactics may just go a little bit faster.
Yes, if we were going to play a 6-player game on, say, 16 foot of board.
Whoa, 16 foot of board.
Yeah, why not?
That's gigantic.
Well, it's 2 8x4s, so a 16x4 board, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I think you're getting a little carried away. 16 feet.
Yeah, 2 8. Well,
Are you going for the world record of world's biggest gaming board?
No. Listen, guys. Okay, 16 feet. Right. Okay. So, if you were going to play tactics, you could play tactics comfortably on a 6x4 board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So 3 6s is.
Well, 3 6s is 18. Yeah.
Ta-da! That's mathematics, yo. So anyway.
Again with the Breaking Bad references. What season are you on now?
So 18 feet would allow three aside, 6-player game, okay? And it would play out great, and you would even get some blurring at the edges, which would be kind of cool. You could condense it if you want, which would also be very cool. But it's easier to put down 2 8-foot boards or 3 6-foot boards. I suppose your other option is to put down 2 6-foot boards.
So what, would you maybe have it house ruled that it was divided into combat zones so that if minis moved from one zone into the other, the other player would take
just let them
over?
go where they
No,
want to
you'd
go.
let them go at it. You would create a narrative, you'd create missions, and you would let them go at it.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, that's tactics. The beauty of this game is once you've learned tactics, you're ready to play Battlefield because there's only a slight adjustment in the first instance for Battlefield where you basically then start measuring. You start taking into account whether something's in cover or not in cover. There's a little bit more ambiguity, but only a tiny bit more ambiguity.
Is there more true line of sight?
Yep. It's
Becomes true line of sight.
there's more of those aspects to it, but then you have other additional rules that really start to let you explore the makeup of the armies and things like that. There, it's
I like both flavors, and see, he's here.
Ah, yes.
I think
for Dust.
I think a few of those would be great, not Dust Table.
I think these would be superb on Dust because the Dust has that. It's just later in the war and stuff like that. Those kind of buildings are still around today. So this kind of stuff from MicroArt Studio, I think, would be great. So anyway, we had a competition. We have another competition at the end of the show, but the winner of this competition, who gets to pick his 2 starter sets, was on Facebook, okay? So you were able to enter on Facebook, YouTube, and of course Beasts of War. It randomly selected a winner from Facebook, and it was Andrew Judge. Well done, mate. Contact us or we'll be in touch, and you can get your 2 starter sets.
Someone's in their underwear jumping around now going, whoa!
Yeah, probably. Okay, right. Now on to that little segment of the show of gaming this week. Just I'm going to start with you.
For me this week at the gaming club, I've played Gloom. We've discussed it.
Yep.
I played Munchkin. We've discussed it. I also, however, played, I think it's under the table in front of you,
Yep.
Zombies Keep Out from Privateer Press.
What did you think of it? We unboxed it recently.
It was fantastic.
Was it really good?
I was playing against Nat, Sam, and Tina.
Yeah.
The mechanics of the game are absolutely brilliant. Let me crack open the box really quickly here.
Yeah.
And just show you what's in it. So, to start off, we have our little rulebook. It's nice, small, light. You'll be up and playing in 20 minutes.
Perfect. I like those kinds of rule books.
Have your gaming board. So,
Okay, so it plays on a board, this one.
yes, the whole idea is the zombie apocalypse has happened.
Your close cam is here, just.
My close cam is here.
Ta-da!
Whoops.
Okay.
You are playing the Goblin Bodgers yet again from
Yeah.
Privateer Press.
So to give people a bit of background, Privateer Press have this kind of Bodgers range
Yeah,
of
it's,
games.
it's a small cartoony goblin comedy sort of games, but they are absolutely brilliant at the same time.
Okay.
So, the zombie apocalypse has happened.
Right?
You and your goblin buddies are trapped in the workshop.
Okay.
So you're scrambling around to get parts, complete contraptions, and kill the horde before they kill you.
Awesome.
The best bit is you have little things in here called bite tokens.
Can I fold this?
Yes, you can fold that. And you actually get a couple of different things of cards. And your little...
Oh, there's miniatures in it too.
Yes, well, it's one sculpt, but it's different colours. So you have, I think, 3 colours of zombie. So you have your red brutes.
I'm going to put this in here to remind him, but you will be good enough to make sure that we get good footage of these.
Yes, I will.
So as people can actually look at this.
Yes. So you have grey runners,
Yeah.
red brutes, blue leapers, and yellow creepers. The whole idea is, what's the funny?
Nothing, I just love it. It's so cute, right?
Yeah, but
The
whole idea is-
and he's immediately, what's he up to? What's he thinking?
right, the whole idea is on the board itself,
Yeah.
you have 5 sections of the workshop.
Oh, let me get that again.
Yeah. So if you get the workshop side,
I have no idea which side
the far
that is.
end, this end here.
Yeah.
So put this to the top. You have 5 sections to your your workshop.
Yep.
You have the cellar,
Yep.
window, door, other window, and balcony.
Okay.
So if the colour is matched with the zombie that's attacking that segment, you do more damage.
Yep.
You also have little move pointers all around the board to show you how they move.
And that, so the red zombies can move from a red to a red.
From here, we'll move to red, and then forward to the door. The way you lose is if they break through the door, or if each player takes 2 bite tokens. Now,
Right.
these,
Can I put it down?
How many
Yes.
players can play?
I think up to 6 players.
Wow.
So it's actually 1 to 6 players if I'm right.
So you can play it solo
game,
as well.
Yeah, the game does run itself. But what
Nice.
I'm on about, which is the really, really fun little part of this, is the bite token.
Yes.
This is a zombie chomping on you.
Love it.
And when you get bit, you slowly degenerate into a zombie.
Oh,
So after you
yes.
get your first bite token, you have to speak in a slurred voice so people can understand you
This
less.
is in the rules.
Yes, this is in the rules.
Brains.
And as you take more and more, you eventually are just left grunting and pointing at each other.
Oh, so you're not allowed to actually speak to each other.
Yeah.
Zombies have to go.
Yeah.
Love
and
it.
then there's another thing.
wait,
Whenever
And this is without beer.
this is with or without beer, it's optional. I think it would be more fun with beer.
Who are you playing this with?
Sam, Tina, and my Nat.
So you're playing with your
My missus,
fiance,
Sam's
and-
girlfriend.
Yeah.
and you're all in the room grunting and groaning at each other.
Yeah, I don't know what the neighbours were thinking that night.
Is there any keys put in a bowl or anything?
No. It's not that kind of game, Lloyd. I know you like that kind of party, but it's not that kind of game.
Okay.
And if you played this on your own, do you still grunt and groan?
the grunt yourself.
Yeah, you can grunt and groan on your
Okay,
own.
for any of you chaps that maybe still live at home, don't buy this game.
No, buy this game because it's fun. But no, to control the zombies, you have the terrible thing cards, right?
Right, okay.
And if you take the maximum number of bites, I can't remember the exact number, you can no longer pick your option. So you have to grunt and hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And if it can't happen, the zombies all start shuffling toward the workshop and just tearing the place apart. You also have your contraptions that you're trying to complete.
Yep.
And when they're complete, you press the big red button. So this one, for example, we have the pressure blaster is complete. Choose a space within one of this location, destroy up to 1 zombie in that space, and up to 1 zombie in the space behind. So you're creating weapons to kill the zombies, and it's just an absolute blast of a time.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Justin, thanks for bringing us up to speed on that.
Yep.
We'll do a bit of grunting and groaning later on.
No, Warren, you're a handsome man, but no thank you.
Okay, so Ludwig,
Yes.
gaming this week. Well, you spent most of the week building this table.
Ta-da! I've been up to my eyes in terrain building again.
Again, we're doing a lot of terrain building at the moment, but that's just part and parcel. We're at that phase of Beasts of War now. We've done the move. We've got the studio. Now we have to get the boards in place. So, and this happened to be one of them.
Yeah, speaking of the board.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what was in it, or what was involved?
Well, we can bring up a wee clip.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. We actually documented a diary, like a video diary. We have a show over on beastsofwar.com called For the Love of Vlog, which is kind of like our little video diary.
A bit fly on the wall, really.
Yeah, so it's our kind of behind the scenes. It's more ad hoc. There's no specific day for the Love of Vlog. It's just when interesting things happen, we record them, we keep a video diary, and we put it up.
So the likes of this, we've got it filmed in various states, from bare polystyrene to where it is roughly now.
Yeah.
We don't go into the details of how it's made, but if you want details and things like that, we've got another cracking show called Hobby Lab, and I'm sure techniques and things that we use on this board will make it through into episodes of Hobby Lab.
Absolutely, they will. So if you want to, we're going to play you a clip of For the Love of Vlog. If you want to watch it, you go over to Beasts of War and you become a Backstager, okay? Backstage is kind of our premium membership or paid membership. It's not very expensive. It's about $3.79 a month.
In
However,
pounds.
Cup of coffee and a
£3.79 is less than a cup of coffee and a muffin now. It's probably the equivalent of a pint of beer. In fact, it's about half the cost of a pint of beer in some of the places we've been recently. Anyway, you sign up to Backstage, and you can watch all of our premium content, so it's our tutorials, Hobby Lab, For the Love of Vlog, and a lot of our other shows. We've got more and more content planned. It's what keeps the lights burning here at Beasts of War and keeps the whole thing operating, pays for the servers and everything else. We are also doing a 7-day free trial. So if it's the kind of thing that you're not sure about and you want to try it out, the link will be below in the show notes on Facebook and everywhere else for you to try the 7-day free trial of Backstage. You sign up, you're not charged for the first 7 days. If you cancel before the 7 days, fair enough. And if you don't, and you stay on, the billing will kick in then at £3.79.
So,
a month.
like a Netflix or something?
It's a bit like Netflix, yeah.
That's actually cheaper than Netflix.
No, I meant from the trial point of view.
And I'm actually really confident to talk about Backstage now because, Backstage is what keeps Beasts of War alive. It's what actually pays for this free content. So our Backstagers are what keeps everything alive. So when you're judging Backstage, yeah, you can judge it on its own if you want, but I would say to you, please judge it on not only what's in Backstage, which I think more than covers the cost of a Backstage, but also includes everything else that we do, because Backstage is our main primary source of staying alive, and it's what keeps B4 independent,
Stay alive.
chucking forward. So anyway,
I'm not stressed, funny, but
Are we
you're
going to play this
dancing.
clip or what?
yeah, play the clip.
It's just me in the studio at the minute, so you'll just have to put up with me holding and trying to talk to you at the same time. So let's get a look at the table and what we've been doing. Last time you've seen this, it didn't have any paint on it, but now you can see the sea. It has a nice greeny blue texture to it, and there's a couple of different colors of blue in there, and then there's a green in there, and that gives you the sort of the effect of, I think, you know, light heading down through the water and bits of seaweed and stuff. That's just using acrylics, so I've got them sitting over here. So there was a blue, that was the base coat, and then I think Warren's mixed in this light blue and this green, possibly a little bit more of that just over the top of it all. I think he's just sort of randomly mixed it together. He's not here at the moment, otherwise I would ask him. Oh, and look down here, this is the pipe work. I think Warren was talking about this in the first part of the video. These pipes here are the outlets. So when the water is pumped out of the dry dock through these grates that are spread around the place, some more pipe work down here. They come out through these parts, and then we have some other bits and pieces just along the dock here. I think these are probably supposed to sit further forward, but they're not stuck down yet. And these are actually cast from Hearst Arts molds. They're a resin cast that's just been sprayed black, and then Warren has, what's he done? He's made it brassy looking with something, I'm not sure what.
So there you have it. So maybe that'll have piqued your interest. So after the game, what else has been tickling your interest? Or after the board even?
After the board. Well, we've talked about dust is always tickling my interest. But recently you walked in through the door with a load of codexes.
I did.
And one of those caught my eye.
Oh, which one was that, Brother Lloyd?
We all know Lloyd is...
Come on, it's not that predictable that it was indeed the Tau!
Of course you're going to take the time.
So, yeah, we're now... Okay, 7th edition is upon us. We're going to be doing a review of 7th edition. We're going to cover that with you. But we haven't been covering 40K in any great depth now for nearly 2 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, for various reasons that are all in the past. It's water under the bridge. But this week was our week for we're getting back, okay? And we went up, and I went up to our local games workshop, because we don't have a gaming store here. Actually, we don't really have one that was within any distance and closeness to us. So.
Anybody who's watched the vlog and you see me in the studio on my own, that's where he was. He was up getting all these.
So
Yes,
I picked up six codices that we were missing.
7 with the Tau?
No, 6 with the Tau.
Okay.
Now there's 2 that I missed.
Right.
Okay. One was Codex Dark Angels because I did actually review that one. Wasn't a massive fan, but I will be picking it up. I just didn't pick it up that day. And the other one was Codex Chaos Demons, which I just didn't pick up at that time.
Which ones did you get?
So we got Tau. We got Space Marines.
Aha, the alma
We got
mater.
Chaos Space Marines.
Aha.
We got the Astra Militarum, which is fabulous, by the way.
Okay.
We got Tyranids, the love of my life. I love my nids.
Wait, hang on. I've missed the Tyranid release.
You
What?
didn't even know it had taken place.
I've missed a release from GW. Whoops.
And of course, I had to get it because it is just rocks. Was Codex Imperial.
Ah, yes, the big ass walking robots of doom.
So my gaming night, Monday nights, we have a little game club that we're part of. They're called the Causeway Giants.
Well, Causeway Gaming Giants.
The Causeway Gaming Giants.
Yes, because you don't want us to think that they're a hockey team or something.
So the Causeway Gaming Giants. I thought we were just the Causeway Giants.
I could be wrong.
Anyway, we meet every Monday night in a little pub here in Castle Rock. We've got a great big room with a bar in it, and we get together and we play games. There's not very many of us because we've been quietly building it up since Christmas. And we haven't had an awful lot of time to talk about it or promote it or anything, but that's about to change because we'd like to promote our little club. In fact, in the coming weeks, we'd like to help promote lots of little clubs. But we'll start with our own first. If you are in Northern Ireland and you fancy coming along for some great gaming, why not come along to Bertha's in Castle Rock on a Monday night, where we all get together and do some gaming.
But any time between 6 and 7, we usually kick off. Isn't it?
It's pretty informal, to be honest. You know, it's any time between 6 and 7 we arrive, and we play through to 11, 12 at night.
Yep. And this week, Warren, you were just sitting beavering away with these in a corner with a pint.
Yes, this week I went in and I couldn't resist. It was an opportunity for me to get out of the house, get away from the studio. So I sat in the corner with a pint, reading through the codex. I think there's a picture of this.
It's on Facebook.
So, yeah.
I'll see if I can hunt it out.
So I had a blast. I know I wasn't playing games, but it was so good to get back through the codex.
Who did you zero in on?
Well, I kind of went through all of them. I started with Tyranids because Tyranids are my first love.
Yeah.
And I loved it. You know, there's some of the units in it are just so cool.
This
You
one?
know,
Wait. Let me just look at that. That is a cracking picture.
It's very cool artwork. Okay, look,
That
you
is
have too many
beautiful.
codexes in hand. Or
This
codices
might
in
all
hand.
seem really old to you guys, that we're pawing over stuff that has now been out maybe 6
For
months or 8
ages.
months. But that's just the situation we found ourselves in. I went through the book. I absolutely loved it. The quality of the codices at the moment is great. We saw it start with Dark Angels, but
There's
they've
something I
got
love.
so
See
good.
that artwork of them in space? That's a very cool piece.
Isn't it brilliant? So I started off with Tyranids, loved it. Went to the Astra Militarum. I thought, oh, this really rocks. I'm not completely sold on the Tarox, the new vehicle for them. I'd probably kind of swap that out for something else. But in terms of the rules and issuing the orders and commands and things, loved it. There's a nice difference between them. Chaos I've been digging through because I've started a Chaos Force. So I really enjoyed that. The Space Marine book is fabulous.
Yeah,
I've got to
the
say.
Space Marine book is, I think, the thickest of the lot.
Well, remember it includes a lot of chapters in there. So you know you have the Black Templar have been rolled into that book. You have the Salamanders in that book.
Did the Space Wolves stay separate?
The Space Wolves are still separate. We'll probably see a Space Wolf update, I would imagine, pretty soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all in there.
Oh, very cool.
I loved it, and I got Tau, of course, and dropped it down to Lloyd so as that he could have a look
I
through
think out of the bunch, the one I'm going to have to eventually take home and reread is Space Marines for myself, because it was my first army, and if we're getting back into it, I think I'm going to go back to my roots in 40K.
Well, I'm going to talk in. We have a version of this show called XLBS, which is the extra long backstage, and it comes out on a Sunday morning over on beastsofwar.com for our backstagers. And I'm going to be talking about what my next steps in 40K and what are some of the armies that I'm working on in that. So, it's been great. So that's what I've been up to. Right, 40K. I have a couple of things on 40K I want to talk about. While we're on the topic of codices, this weekend, Orks have been announced. Okay. So the new Ork book is on the way. I have some snippets of info that may or may not be right, but it's...
So we've been hearing rumors on the grapevine, I assume?
They're a little bit more than rumors, okay?
Okay.
So first things first, the Stompa, I believe, is in the book.
Nice.
If it is in the book, it's 770 points. Okay. 12 hit points. It has a special rule called Effigy. All friendly units within the Ork faction that are within 6 inches of a Stompa have the Fearless special rule.
I suppose they're next to something bigger than them, so they're not going to be too scared.
Is carrying 3 big shooters, a Def Cannon, Scorcher, Super Gatler, 3 Super Rockets, Twin Link Big Shooter, and a Mega Chopper. We all would love a Mega Chopper. So anyway, 12 hull points.
That's
pretty
going to take a bit of killing.
nasty, isn't it?
It's going to take a bit of killing.
Now, the reason I mention that is because if this is correct and the Stompa ends up in the Codex, I believe that's the first super heavy to ever make it into a Codex.
What about the Baneblade, or was it always separate?
Well, you can check it if the Baneblade is in that book there of the Astra Militarum, but I don't believe it is. If it is...
I can go straight to the profiles, and if it's anywhere, it'll be in heavy support. No,
it'll
the
be,
Inlaid is
it'll
not
be
there.
under its own category of super heavies if it's in there.
Then no.
No.
Then no.
Then there we have it. If it made it in, there we have just seen the first codex with an actual super heavy right in it. The other thing is there's a special formation. Now, formations you can find in the new rulebook on page 121. Formations can be used definitely in unbound armies, but I believe they can also be used in battle-forged armies. And a formation is a special collection of units that give you some extra special rules. So this formation is an orc warband. It has a war boss, a mech, a unit of knobs or mega knobs, 6 units of boys, and a unit of Gretchen. And it has command benefits like the Boss of Dawa. If this detachment is chosen as your primary detachment, you could re-roll the result when rolling on the Warlord traits table in Codex Orks.
This is like a pre-generated section of your army?
Yeah, these are basically like themed mini lists that form part of your army, not your entire army.
Yeah, so you take this little bit, you get these bonuses, and then you bolt on what you like around it.
I believe that's how it works.
Cool to me.
The detachments and formations are a part of your army, not the entire army. It's got the greenskin hordes. Every unit with 10 or more models in the detachment gains the Hammer of Wrath special rule, and in any assault phase in which it successfully charges an enemy unit, the dice rolled for its charge range is 10 or more before modifiers. Note that the unit does not need to move the full distance rolled to gain this effect, and it does not matter if the unit's size is reduced below 10 models during its charge, as a result of the Overwatch, dangerous terrain tests, etc., so long as it can still successfully make the charge. And it also has Stampede. If the formation's war boss is your warlord, he can use his WA special rule each and every turn after the first. Love it. Love it. I love it because we're starting to get really
annoying,
themed lists.
That's going to be really annoying.
Why?
That's all you're going to hear in gaming clubs all around the country. Is,
Whoa!
Next turn. Whoa!
I love
turn
it.
after that. Whoa!
Oh, long may it continue. I just think it's so... I love the themeness of it. It's great. We also have the Gorkanaut and the Morkanaut. Do you think the Morkanaut runs on Nanu technology?
I think he probably does.
Do you think it does? Do you think there's a Mindianaut?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Orkish gods, and I know the old show you're on about with Robin Williams. So
Oh,
shut up.
for the first time ever, Justin actually understood one of my references.
In fact-
you know we were running a bet on Beasts of War that you would just sit there with a blank face
Really?
and not know it.
In fact, your head looks like his spaceship.
Yes. What? He landed in an egg.
All right.
Okay, so kicking off, we have the Morkanaut, 230 points.
Oh, tasty.
You'll have seen these because they leaked a little while back. They're a great looking model. I showed it to Andrea, who's a big fan of orcs. She runs an orc army. And she looked at it and she said, I don't know if I'm a fan. I said, well, what's wrong with it? She says, it looks a bit too organized. I said, wait till you see it in the flesh. I think you'll love it. So it's 5 hull points. It's a transport that can carry 6 models. That must be 3 in the front, 3 in the back. The Morkanaut has... Oh, no, it has only 1 access point at the front.
So I'll
6 in
assume
the
rear
front.
access point?
Yeah, so no, it's a frontal access point.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's got 2 twin-linked big shooters. It's got custom mega blaster, custom mega cannon, 2 rocket launches, and a claw of Gork, or possibly Mork. You just want one of these things to have a rear access point and just bend over and fart them out the back.
I wouldn't mind having a Gretchen launcher.
a Gretchen fart launcher. That's
Did you
exactly
say
what we want for the
Gretchen
orcs.
launcher or Gretchen Muncher?
Gretchen launcher.
Launcher.
Okay.
Launcher.
Continuing on, we then have the Gorkanaut at 245
I love that name,
points.
Gorkanaut.
I think that's brilliant, isn't it? So the Gorkanaut, 5 hull points again, transport capacity of 6 models. Its war gear is a Deathstorm mega shooter. Oh man. 2 twin-linked big shooters, 2 rocket launches, a Scorcher, and the Claw of Gork. Special rules is Rampage, whereas the Morkanaut doesn't have that at all. Fire points none. Morkanaut, fire points none. Access points for the Morkanaut, it has 1 access point at the back. Sorry, at the front, they both access through the front. So it's very similar in that way. There's just slight differences on the
So it's
war
just
gear.
a mechanical incarnation of the Orkish gods.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. For your Battleforged armies, there's a special detachment. If you want to understand Battleforged armies, go to 118 in your main rulebook. And you've got the Orc Horde detachment, okay? It's got your HQ, it's got 3 troops, it's got an elite fast attack and heavy support, fortification, and Lord of War. So it's a cool looking detachment.
Yeah.
It's very troop heavy. The Hordes seems to be the way to go. The other thing we suspect, can't guarantee it, but we suspect, is I don't think you'll have Orc bikers as troops anymore.
All those
could be
big,
wrong.
all those big knob lists. Bye.
Could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to get them as troops.
We'll see.
I think Hordes are going to be the way to go on this. Command benefits is Boss of Dawa. If this detachment is chosen as your primary detachment, you can re-roll the result when doing your Warlord traits. And it's got the green skin Hordes. Every unit within 10 or more models gains that Hammer of Wrath. Same thing again, basically. So that's what we've got to look forward to on the Orcs. What I've seen, the little nuggets of information I've seen, it all looks quite good. There's they've got their own kind of magic table and stuff like that there, which is
So they still have the weird boys.
yeah, it's some interesting stuff. Over the course of the next week, we might be able to talk a bit more about that. But I cannot wait for next week. And Andrea has already twisted my arm that we're going to drive up to Games Workshop together and pick up the Orc Codex whenever.
I'm guessing she saw you walk through the door with this brick.
Yes, and she said, "Oh, I must get my Orc Codex." And I said, "No, don't bother, honey. Leave it where it's at. Whatever packing box it went into, leave it there, because you're getting a new one in about 10 days' time." So, anyway, there we have it for the Orcs. What is out though this week on Tuesday?
You received it.
I received
finally.
the 7th edition.
I'm guessing you damn near mauled the postman when you saw him walking up with it.
And this is why, if you're wondering why my 7th edition isn't in the beautiful box that it arrived in, it's because it's like this, full of little notes and things like that there. So let me give you guys a couple of these here for you to look at. So the Galaxy of War, I
me the
believe,
box.
I'll give you that one, Lloyd.
And the box.
And I'll give you that one, Dark Millennium.
Yeah.
So, first things first, I know you've been looking to see the box. The packaging, they
nice.
say never judge a book by its cover.
Well,
But I say, in this instance, it was very hard not to judge the book by its cover. The packaging for 7th edition
it's very clean. Very nice.
stunning, Justin. It wasn't only clean and very nice. They're understatements of the year. It
Fair
was
enough.
simply stunning. Whatever designer that they have brought in.
And we're not at Salute.
Yeah, well, it's a Salute is where I reserve all the stunning.
Stunning.
That is stunning.
I'm bringing my Salute stunning to this.
So this gets the Warren approval seal.
From a design perspective, myself and Lloyd have worked in design for a long number of years now. From a design perspective, it's
Stunning.
almost flawless. It's almost flawless. As a package of books for someone that's getting back into 40K, I have a very unique perspective on this, okay? For the first time since we started Beasts of War, I'm coming at this game from the returning player point of view, okay? Sometimes it may actually be worth us taking a break from a game just to come back at from the returning player, because a large proportion of our audience have had to do it at some point where they come back to it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this from the point of view of a new player or a returning player, because that's how I felt when I walked into the Games Workshop store that I went to.
Yeah.
I felt in that category.
Yeah.
And from a packaging point of view, I mean, just a collecting point of view, see if you're handed that as a present, man, you think you've got something.
The visual aspects of it actually give it a sense of worth.
Just
I tell you how
cracking
bad it is, right? We own one, but if somebody gave me it as a present, I'd still love it. It's such a beautiful piece of packaging. You really feel like you're getting something.
Yeah, fair enough.
The 3 books is inspired. Not entirely original. Flames of War had 3 books in their pack. It's been done before, but I think it's a very good way to go. It was nice to separate out the background from the, dare I say it, hobby. I don't really want to call it hobby. It's actually a coffee table book.
Yeah.
It's not a hobby book per se. I've referred to it as a hobby book in last Weekender, but I didn't actually have it. It's not a hobby book. It's a coffee table book. But as coffee table books go for 40k, one of the best. With the photography in it is superb. There's a picture of a space wolf in there.
In this?
Yeah, there's a picture of a space wolf, and the photography is so intense and so clear. You can almost see the brush strokes. So if you wanted to get to grips with how that model was painted, other than if you could ever see a
you
tutorial,
can get a nice close look at it. But you can see what I mean. Now I mentioned this on the last show.
Yeah,
That's the rules.
this is the rules.
How much less intimidating is it to pick that up and start to learn your game than the other one, which is roughly twice the size of that in thickness?
Well, let me give you another thing. I completely agree with you. I've loved this book so far. I'm not through it. It's going to take me weeks of going back and through to really get to grips with this book, but I love it. But let me give you another thing about it. The layout decisions in this book is superb. How they've laid it out, how the structuring of it is great. I really love the design decisions in terms of the typesetting and the layout, the color choices of the black, white, and red. Yeah, it's a little bit Third Reich, but you know what? It suits this perfectly. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to start with this. Okay. Well, no, we'll quickly go through some of that because I know, Justin, you picked out a few highlight pages. Right. So
this is the background book.
Yeah,
which you
it's
handed
called
to me.
Dark Millennium.
Yeah. The first thing that jumped out to me is this little piece here. It shows you the actual breakdown of the hierarchy of the Imperium.
Of the Imperium.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. But yeah, so it gives you that nice quick clear, so that's who's above that, that's who's below that. Nice. You're not getting all confused by going, is the Adeptus Telepathica above the Astra
That is a really good one, yeah. That's the first time we've seen that, isn't it? Yes. I don't believe we've seen that before.
I haven't seen it before. I've also just been seeing absolutely cracking artwork. Now I'm going to pull off the little pink post-its that we've been using to mark them out. A big scene from Terra.
Isn't that awesome?
That is gorgeous.
Actually, I think you leave it posted on, because remember, we can just bring a little bit of B-roll or something.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring the B-roll up, and you'll have to find these pages again, remember. So
well, I've done 2 wrong so far, but we'll move on to the next one. We have the classic map of the Imperium.
Yes, always useful. They're getting better at these maps too, aren't they?
Well, you have this version and an older version showing off the
Let me see that. Oh yeah, it's very time bandits now, isn't it?
It has got very time bandits, hasn't it?
Let's see, what else have I picked out here that's cool? Well, we've seen the Imperial Knights from their codex. I've also picked out a rather nice piece of new artwork for one of the Orks. I think he's got one of the weird big zappy guns.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can really describe it as because I don't know what it is.
How did you find the... I know looking through
this
book...
so it probably is called Big Weird Zappy Gun.
Looking through this book myself, I noticed that there's an awful lot about the Imperium, okay? A big, heavy focus on mankind. Yeah. And the Xenos are quite tucked towards the back.
There's some for the Xenos, because we have a nice Ork versus Eldar one, which is a nice, big, epic battle. I'm looking on the background, I'm seeing a big energy vortex.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that could perhaps be an Eldar craft world or one of their other ones. What else do we have here? Oh, something has stuck together. 1 second. Yeah, come here. Now this is the one that Lloyd picked out.
Cracking looking.
It's the one from the front of the Tyranids Codex.
Yes.
And he's right. The actual art from Games Workshop is just, they're up in their game the entire time.
Well, they have a new artist on board.
I see.
And I'm angry with myself because I can't remember his name. I think it's Raymond something. We'll bring it up below. Remind me to get you that. We'll bring it up below. My apologies to the artist because I should remember his name. But they have a new artist. Previously it was John Blanche that did the art, and John Blanche has this very
old school?
No, it's not. There's nothing about old school about John Blanche. He has a very unique, incredible style of his own that's very, very gritty. Okay. But the new artist is more almost three-dimensional. There's a clarity to his art that isn't in the Blanche art. It's all a matter of taste. It is all a matter of taste of who you prefer. However, I think that the new artist they brought on board, and he probably works very closely with John, is fabulous. And the codex covers just go to demonstrate that. So, Lloyd, how did you find the coffee book table.
Well, that's
Or the
exactly
coffee
what
table
that's
book, the
exactly
Galaxy
what
at
this
War.
is. The Galaxy at War is a coffee book table in its truest form. You just
Coffee book table.
Coffee
coffee book table,
Yeah.
coffee table book.
Coffee
Yes.
table.
Gamut is drain damage.
In its truest form, and I love the way you've got your main image, and then
Yeah.
you've got some supporting images,
Yeah, the nice breakdown of the close-ups with the really cool detail is.
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. I mean, you could sit and flick through this for ages. Now here, right, I actually liked this image, which
Yeah.
surprised me because I thought these were dung, these trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you see it laid out like that, you're kind of going, oh,
It does give you the sense and the feel of the army, but
it all tied together really well. But then I've got some other.
What I have found is that a lot of the time the pictures don't do the models justice.
Well, whenever it's
whenever
single
you actually,
model on a white background.
yeah, whenever you get to see them in the flesh though as well, Justin, you get to touch and move them around.
Here's a spread that Justin's picked out.
Yeah. Sisters of Battle army in all its glory.
Yeah.
Now the Sisters of Battle, you always think they've kind of went to the back shelf, you know. But that just makes it look like a really cool army that you really want to play.
Cool. Then you can play one.
I'm not playing Sisters of Battle
Why?
because I'm going to play Space Marines.
All right. Okay.
Here's what's really good about this book, right? Check this image out, right? Look at the lighting they've done.
Yes.
And look at all the smoke. What is this? Is this dry ice or something they're using?
No.
I think they just photoshopped that in, or
No,
what?
no, that's all the design team all standing around with a fag.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
All sitting there with their e-cigs.
all of their e-cigs go.
Speaking of which, I actually found my e-cig again.
All right, so you're back on the straight and narrow again.
No, I've lost the charger for it now.
All right, okay.
But I think I love the way they're using smoke
Yeah.
in this book. Because there's another picture I have. Oh, where is that
I
one?
think it's that next one along. There.
There's another cracking picture with
Yeah,
all the smoke
the Demon
swirls and
Prince of
stuff.
Nurgle.
And all the lighting
Yeah.
that they're doing in
You'd
this.
hardly, from a distance, you'd hardly know that that was a miniature. It
Exactly.
looks like a piece of art.
This
Yeah.
particular
Or
one
a piece of CG
really
work.
just looks at you like it's a photo of bigger miniatures. It's
Yeah.
not. It just doesn't look miniature, does it?
Yeah. So, what is the purpose of this book, you might be asking, okay? You could be looking at it and going, well, that's the least useful book in the entire thing. However, that may not strictly be the case. If you're a new player or a returning player, I know, and I can remember back to whenever I was first getting into 40K and when I was second getting into 40K, seeing these battle images, they were the true inspiration. They were the images that really inspired you.
They gave you the flavour of the world.
Yes, the other thing that inspired us at that time was the custom-built terrain and tables that they made.
Speaking of battle images,
There you go.
Yes, the big-ass Imperial Guard.
Imperial Guard versus Tyranids. A classic confrontation.
again with all the smoking and the light effect, right? Look at the Tyranids. Look how they're lit from the back, and it looks like they're
Yeah, the dawn assault across the
the
marshes.
sun is coming down on their backs.
setting
Yeah.
behind them. It's just class looking.
It is fabulous. Right, I'm a big fan so far, and then we get to the rules. This is the meat of it. This is the book that we have all been waiting for. And do you want to know something?
Yep.
It actually is the book we have all been waiting for.
Right.
I absolutely love it. So, as well as buying the book, I went up and I actually played through some tactical setups to try out some of the new rules. So I haven't played a full game yet, but I've been playing through elements of it.
I haven't had a chance to look at all three books. Can I just clarify something? So that book is purely rules now?
Purely rules.
No fluff.
No fluff.
Yep.
So you can just go, I want straight into the rules.
Yep. Straight into the rules, pure fluff, pure photography.
Coffee table.
There's nothing in there. There's no painting guides. I kind of expected there'd be painting guides and stuff in there, but the reality is Games Workshop sell all their painting guides and stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can go off and pick them up.
Yep.
This book, I've played through some of the changes. I focused in on the changes, the things that had changed, and I set up little scenarios. I got a good friend of mine to play against me up in the Games Workshop store. And we looked through them. I love them. I want to talk you through some of them, some of the things in the book. But before I do that, I just want to show you that.
Welcome to the 41st millennium.
How
class looking.
cool is that? You know, I know that I'm using up part of our show just to show you what's basically an empty page of non-information. But when I saw that, the hair on the back of my neck stood up just a little bit,
Yep.
and I thought,
Presentation-wise, they've just nailed it.
So let me get stuck into where things have changed. Firstly, the introduction of the psychic phase. It basically bundles all of the psychic things all together. So it now all happens during a phase. I've tried it out. It works very well. It'll remain to be seen. There are some kind of quirks in the whole thing. For example, the demons. There's talk of the demons being able to spawn another 2,000 points of demons. But
What?
Yeah. However, it would take dice rolling that if you were rolling dice like that, you're in the wrong game. You should be playing on a roulette wheel or doing the lottery.
In other words, godlike dice rolls.
Where does it happen, the phase?
You start with the movement.
Yeah.
You then do, let me just go actually back a couple because I want to make sure I get this right. Turn summary. You do the movement phase.
Yes.
Well, you have the start of your turn phase, which is where you resolve any rules that are described as happening at the start of your turn.
Yep.
You then do movement,
Yep.
psychic phase, shooting phase, assault phase, and then the end of your turn phase. So it's all very clear cut.
Yeah,
okay?
so psychic comes before shooting but after movement.
Well, if you think about it, right, you may have psychic powers that might aid a subsequent shooting or a subsequent assault or something like that there. So
But kind of makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
If you were psychic, you're not going to wait until after the events happen to think, oh, I should have done this.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm guessing any psychic power that's going to affect movement, you're having to plan it for the next turn.
Yeah. Well, it's the psychic phase is on page 22. It's all in there. Do you know, I tried it. I had a look through the psychic cards and stuff like that there. It all seems straight cut. The only thing is the Space Wolves have been nerfed a little bit in the recent FAQs, so there's a full set of FAQs out of this. So the Rune Priests took a bit of a hit. There is also, only in my mind probably not out in the rest of the Intersphere, a little bit of a question in my mind of how it affects Grey Knights, because you get bonuses for the number of psychers you have on the table. They add to the dice pool.
Yeah.
However, every Marine...
Well, it's not every
everybody-
Marine, it's every Sergeant in a Grey Knight squad. I believe it's a psyker, isn't it?
I thought every Grey Knight was a psyker.
One for the
But,
community? Let us know.
Yeah, let me know on that one, because I didn't pick up the Grey Knight Codex to check that one.
I don't know. The only
So-
thing I know about Grey Knights is they don't have any genitalia.
Which we have seen recently. Yeah. Okay. So the shooting phase. The shooting phase is. It's not a lot different from what it was before. Where the changes really start to come into play is in the combat. The assault phase is a lot more straightforward now. Okay.
Right,
It's not,
do we still have this declare charge, roll 2d6, or not?
yes, you still roll for your charge, but after that, it's not quite as convoluted. It's now just closest to closest, and they all basically pile in.
Right.
Where it does get interesting, though, is do you remember all this? The big guys, the big Space Wolves could go in, declare a challenge. And then some other little sergeant or something could come in and
step
take
forward
the
and went,
challenge.
hi there.
I'll take the challenge, and then all they could do was squish the sergeant.
Yeah.
They've changed that now.
Right.
That all of your attacks carry through to the unit.
Right, so you can squish the sergeant, and
all
because
the-
you killed him
all
so
the
easily, you're
leftover-
just rocking
All
on.
the leftover wounds go into the unit.
That makes a lot more sense.
does not make a lot more sense.
Is this going to make combats faster then? Because
Yes.
I just find combats tedious and mind-numbingly.
From the couple of tests that I did, worked smoothly and seamlessly, and that will stop that nonsense of trying to tie
my
people up
crappy
with
little guy
combat
will tie up your
sequences.
super heavy pointed
So
character.
that's
Now,
what-
if you get big ass characters in there, they're going to do big ass damage. So now it's in your interest to have him fight your main guy. Otherwise, he's going
Yeah,
to
he's
tear
just
through
going
your
to tear
unit.
through the rest of the unit. But a lot of the time, the rest of the unit is just a meat shield, so
Yeah, well,
There's a balance to it.
Yeah, you still get to take off who it is, but it's more killy. I like that.
Yeah, okay.
Anything that makes the game more intense,
And
more
less waste.
killy, less waste, less faffing about with stupid beardy rules that get twisted.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about this is that there's clarity that's brought fun and narrative to the game. And somebody will find stupid, twisted, beardy ways of doing it, I'm sure. But
if we're actually going to see the big characters actually duking it out, that's going to give you those big, cool cinematic moments that you really love in games.
The other thing is battlefield terrain. They've started to... terrain is now a huge part of 40K. We saw that with Stronghold. This book is entirely compatible with Stronghold. And you will need Stronghold, okay? Because it doesn't list anything in it. And there's no Aegis defense lines in this.
In this book, right?
No, all of that's in Stronghold. All that is in this is there's a few profiles for some of the other pieces of terrain that Games Workshop make, like the Shrine of the Aquila and the Manufactorum. They all now have kind of profiles of how they
I really like it. I really like the idea of profiles for terrain.
Well, Stronghold makes the profiles even better because in Stronghold they have profiles somewhat similar to vehicles. So they have hull points so you can destroy the buildings.
I love the interactive battlefield.
So it's taking it from just being, oh, well, this is a ledge you can stand on, you can see further.
Yeah.
No, this is actually a building, and if you're in there, your opponent might come after it instead of you.
Correct. Now, these buildings don't have they have rules, but they don't have stat lines the way they do in Stronghold. So Games Workshop did say at the time that this book wasn't going to replace Apocalypse and Stronghold. I can clearly see that it hasn't.
Yeah, it meshes in with them.
The only thing that's left me wondering about its value is escalation, okay? Because escalation allowed you to use super heavies in normal games, but the rules for super heavies are now in this. The only thing that isn't in this is the stat lines, the data sheets for super heavies. But this is where I get kind of a bit mixed up and a bit anyways, because a lot of those data sheets are in Apocalypse. And they're also in escalation. Do we really need 2 books for that? So there's a question for the community. Where I understand Stronghold, completely get it. Understand Apocalypse, completely get it, because it is an extra layer of game on top of this.
Yeah.
But is there any real need for escalation? Is escalation just going to be a book of data sheets now? I don't know, because the rules are here. There's the allies chart, which we've talked about in the last episode.
Yep.
All good stuff there. Every army can potentially ally with every other army. There's loads of really good narrative options there for making any game you ever dreamed of in 40K. This book now has the framework for you to do it.
Cool.
So you could go with your unbound armies, okay, and you could create anything you want. And I think that's awesome. Or you can go with your battle-forged armies that are a little bit more structured, and you gain some extra benefits. One of the key ones being every unit, I believe now, can score, okay? So every unit can score. However, if you're playing an unbound army and you have 2 units sitting on an objective, and I'm playing a battle-forged army, and I get my 1 unit to that objective, I own the objective.
Because you're battle-forged.
Because I'm battle-forged. So that is how they encourage the balanced armies. But this whole balance thing's a bit of a misnomer to me, because I'm not sure that having a battle-forged army is going to be any less unbalanced or any more balanced than an unbound army.
How many battles in history have actually been balanced, a fair fight?
We've already been through it, but I completely agree. Now, one of the other things that I think is going to change 40K forever. Tactical objectives.
Oh,
okay.
This is new.
Right. This is fabulous. Basically, every game, well, pretty much every game you play is going to have 6 objectives, okay? You each get dealt 3 cards. And they become your tactical objectives for that
secret
turn.
objectives, or does your opponent know what they are too?
You can play it both ways. There's some missions where they're open, because your opponent can try to do your objectives, and there's some where they're hidden.
Question. For that turn?
Yes.
Not for the game?
Not for the game. That's for that turn.
So, your objectives are continuously shifting and changing?
Every turn, turn you can cash in the objectives that you've completed, and you draw more. So you can have games that are like 15-5, and it's
interesting.
It's every turn now you're scoring points for different things.
And I like that a lot.
Fabulous.
Because some armies are maybe very maneuverable, and they can go out and score points really fast.
Yeah.
But then the other armies may be beefed up for a close combat and just come back and crush them. That adds an ebb and a flow.
Remember,
I like that.
It's not all about taking objectives. When I say objectives, objective could be
kill the warlord.
Kill a warlord. or kill 2 troops, or do this or that.
Yeah, but it seems
or
to
it could
kill
go
that meat
to, or
grinder.
it could be secure. Get a unit on objective 6. Get a unit on objective 2. So some you'll not be able to do. Some you will
Does
be
your
able to
opponent
do.
know this?
Every turn you get to get rid of
Sometimes they do,
one,
sometimes they don't.
and you get to draw back up to your 3. So if you've cured 2, I believe then you can get rid of 1, and then you could draw your 3, or you could keep that 1 and draw another 2.
Is it a blind draw though?
It's a deck. You can do it from a deck, or you can do it by rolling 2d6 on a chart that's in the thing. So
What I'm getting at is, does my opponent know why I've just shot 2 guys?
Potentially. In some games, as I've said, the objectives are played in the open because your opponent can actually try to do your objectives. But in other games, your objectives are hidden. But in our games, we will decide what way we want to do it as we...
See, I like the idea of it being hidden from the point of view of your opponent going, what's he doing?
Why is he attacking that
And then when it's
crappy little
his
unit
turn,
of
you're
mine?
like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I much prefer, personally, from a personal point of view, I prefer the hidden objectives. I think that the hidden objectives adds a whole new layer to it. But I'm really open to playing the other way and trying to see what kind of game it creates for playing
It
objectives.
absolutely kills the old meat grinder, because in the old games you would have an objective, but you would get some players that would just go, objective, what's that? I'm just going to grind you into the dust.
There's nothing worse than playing against a player whose entire strategy is just about killing everything you have on the table.
Yep.
There's nothing worse than playing that.
Yes, but that completely kills it.
I believe so. I think 40K 7th edition. I loved 5th edition. I really loved 5th edition. 6th edition, I was more ambivalent about it.
We drifted. We drifted quite simply.
We didn't spend enough time with it for me to give a true opinion of it, but I wasn't much of a fan. 7th edition, I am utterly sold on. I know there are some issues, and there will always be some teething issues with it, but the FAQs came out nice and sharp, and I fully expect another round of FAQs that'll come in and tighten it up a bit further.
Cool.
Right, some interesting things just to top that up.
Yep.
One is, the whole timing of the book kind of interested me, and I've spoken about this, about how I'm a bit, not suspicious. Suspicious is a strong word about the timing of a book, but I couldn't understand.
You had a quirked eyebrow.
Yeah, I was wondering, why now? Why May? You know, whenever all these things happened in June, running into July.
High summer.
And then it occurred to me, I was chatting to someone, and it occurred to me, it was Games Workshop's end of financial year. If they'd waited to June, as they always do, that would have been the beginning of the next financial year. So there again, I start to wonder, yes, is this about shoring up a set of results?
The end of year result.
Yeah, it was another thing. It kind of,
well, it is a possibility.
made me think that this is all about shoring up an end of year result. So we'll have to wait and see on that. The other thing about
maybe
it
they just finished early and just went, we're pleased with this, get it out.
Maybe, but
Or
strategically,
maybe our buddy James walked out and
strategically, no, James had nothing to do with that.
All right,
but
fair enough.
We'll probably not see anything from James M. Hewitt now until December time.
Fair enough.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But every year before, they've put it out to give them a strong start to their financial year, and then they build on that. It's interesting that this one came out before the end of the financial year. The other thing is, I'm fairly certain now, no Warhammer Fantasy this year.
Okay.
I'm almost certain now it's not going to happen. It's next year. And the year after that, we're getting another 40K. And the year after that, we're getting another fantasy. And the year after that, they're going to a 2-year cycle.
I really think that's too quick a cycle.
No, I don't think so. And here's why.
Okay.
Call of Duty.
Okay.
Call of Duty, there's 2 teams work on
3?
Call of Duty. Is there 3 now? Well, there was a time when there was 2.
They've switched. They've switched to a 3-year cycle
For each team.
for each team, but they can maintain the launch regularity because of 3 teams.
So, but it's still a new Call of Duty every year. Yeah. We're talking about a new 40K every 2 years.
Okay.
2 years, 600 and something odd days.
But it's different, though.
There's 700 and something days.
Comparing it to Call of Duty, which is a video game, the controls are the same. You just doing different maps and different things and different abilities.
Rebuilding stories.
I don't like the idea of having to relearn rules every 2 years.
But you don't have to relearn rules. In this book, if you were a competent 6th edition player, there's only
you're
maybe
stepping
half
up.
a dozen changes that you have to get the grips with. And if the second book came out with as much gusto as this one, so not next year, the year after, if we had another one that came out with as much gusto and production quality as this one, and cool additions like the mission cards or whatever else they come up with, all it's doing is building on what you already know.
I suppose.
The other way to look at it is if there is something you don't like about a release, it's less time waiting for it to maybe be changed.
I think we're basically looking at a major new game from Games Workshop every year. So Fantasy one year, 40k the next, Fantasy 40k.
Fair enough.
Now, the other thing about it is the cost. That cost quite a penny. And I have been sitting, because we don't have an awful lot of resources to expend on this stuff, but we want to give it the coverage. This is the only way we can do it. But I've been thinking about it from a cost point of view. We don't often talk about cost because it's all fairly relative, for people in different situations. But I was trying to see if I could give myself some perspective. So the Apocalypse book was 45 quid or something like that.
Okay.
This book, 50 quid for the box set, all right? 50 quid's a lot of money these days. I know myself and Andrea wouldn't have 50 quid to be bandying around.
You wouldn't.
However, if you took it into account that you got one day every 2 weeks where you got to play 40k with your mates.
So 26.
And you got 2 games in. I don't think that's unreasonable to get 2 games in a day. Say that works out at about 6 hours every 2 weeks that you've played. Okay? Yep. Then you take into account the meta game, where you get to spend time reading it and coming up with your army lists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Say that equates to about an hour a week. Because I can see most of us spending an hour a week thinking about what changes would make to our army and stuff like that. Yeah. Right, that's it. Just rules-related stuff, not including painting or anything else. I kind of worked it out. When you totted all that up and you divided it by the cost of the book, it was working out at something like 29p an hour. Now, if you went into an arcade, you have to spend like £1
for about 5 minutes.
For about 5 minutes. The only difference is that you could opt not to, whereas this is a 50 quid investment up front.
Yeah.
But you know what? Whenever you take it into account, the amount of time that you're going to spend with the rules, never mind the rest of the hobby and the stuff like that there, but just the rules, you're looking at about 29p an hour.
Well, it was 50 quid for this.
For that.
With the 3 books.
With the 3 books.
I actually don't think that's pretty bad.
Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. For the production value and all that went into it, I don't think it's that bad. It works out at 29p an hour.
For what you're actually getting out of the box, it feels worthwhile for that.
Now, with the greatest of respect to Games Workshop, using that same analogy with some other games like Bolt Action and some of the stuff from Mantic and whatnot, that cost per hour reduces even further and becomes even better value for money. However, I don't think 29p an hour to spend in the 40k world
Having
is
seen
too
it
much.
now, it's a beautiful product, and I would say you're getting your money's worth on that. I wouldn't buy the collector's edition.
No, that was 200 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 50 quid for that, I would say goodbye.
Yeah. Anyway, so our 40k content is ramping up as we are ramping up. We'll have more to say on that over the coming weeks. There's not going to be any major themed weeks. Themed weeks is probably not going to make an appearance on Codex releases, quite simply because Games Workshop have set it up that we just can't do it. It's just too difficult to do now. Because you can't get anything with any amount of time to be able to work with it. However, we do have some awesome 40k content planned that we're going to be rolling out that we think is going to be even better than anything we've ever done before. Certainly, I'm looking forward to it a lot. That's it for my 40k stuff, guys. I've gave you everything that I could give you on that. We're going to take a break. After the break, competition time, but we're going to get one of the Wolsung guys in. We're going to talk a little bit about Wolsung.
Volsung.
Yeah.
Because we've just played this week one of the most fun games I've ever played. I'm in hobby nirvana right now. This demo game that we've coming out, I don't think we've ever laughed so much during a demo game as what we have done during this one.
And I do scream at him quite a few times during it because of his ridiculous rolls on the dice.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
So, guys, we'll be right back after the break. And welcome back. So, we've been joined by Lukas from Micro Studios. He's one of the creators behind Volsung. And this week, we've been spending a bit of time with Volsung. We built the board, and then we've been recording a demo game because Volsung is going to Kickstarter. And it's a game that we've been watching for a long time. The terrain blew us away quite early in its development. When we saw the terrain pieces, we thought, oh, it looks so stunning.
That's one of the things I like is the fact that you've built a world to go with the game. Lots of games just develop miniatures, and the world in which it happens is very much an afterthought. They write out the story, but from an actual being able to create the world, it's very much an afterthought. But not with this.
Not with this. Volsung, you have the components there from day one, that you can pretty much pull together to create the world, and you don't need to create a massive amount of space. Lukas, this is one of the things that initially I found difficult to understand when you explained to me that, well, Volsung doesn't need an awful lot of space to play. 3 by 3, 3 foot by 3 foot is ample for Volsung to play because it's a very intimate, close game.
You have a very focused shot on where the action's happening on the board.
Oh yes, for a skirmish game, we just didn't think that anything more than 3 feet by 3 feet would be just needed.
It's very surprising what you get on a 3 by 3 board too. I mean, we've built this in 2 days.
Yeah.
And when we laid out the part with all the tiled stuff, I thought, well, we're not going to get very much on that. And then, lo and behold, look at all the stuff that's there.
And it's... I want to try and describe Volsung. Watching the demo game will give you the best kind of flavor and introduction of it from a beginner's perspective. But to try and describe it, it is a skirmish game. It's incredibly cinematic, though.
Yeah.
It's an intimate game that is played by 2 players or more, and that or more is key. The only way I can describe this is we filmed a demo game, and for the first time, we opted to actually film it with 3 players and Lukas. So Lukas oversaw and helped us make sure that we understood the rules and things like that there. And the rules are fairly straightforward. By the end of the game, we were pretty much playing it ourselves. But myself, Justin, and Sam played it. But I would quite happily play this with 5 players or 6 players, and I think it would run so smoothly. It was so interactive. Basically, everybody just activated a unit, and you never felt like nothing was happening.
Yeah. And you were always looking very closely at your tactical choices of who do I want to activate next, who do I want to leave. He's activated this round, so he's less of a threat and such.
Some of the mechanics and little skills and things you can do, I'm not going to give too much away because you'll see it all in the demo game, mean that players don't feel on the fringe of the action.
Yes.
At every single point, as long as you have cards in your hand, you can influence the flow of the turn.
Exactly. It's a game that plays with dice and playing cards, and with their upcoming Kickstarter, all of this stuff is becoming available in beautiful products. The playing cards are a stroke of genius because we're playing the dice, and the dice mechanics of this game are so beautifully simple. Basically, you only have to remember 4+. Everything succeeds and passes on a 4+, and it's just the number of dice that you roll that changes for the vast majority of things. Hell, it even became so simple that we made a rule up halfway through the game.
Not exactly halfway through the game, and let's leave that as a surprise, because I think my reaction to that was absolutely priceless.
Yeah, we made up a rule in the game.
Keep your eye out for it during the demo game.
When the demo games come out, see if you can spot which rule was made up. I don't think it'll be very hard. But the playing cards, however, they are what give you your ability to do heroic things. This is where if the dice are there to make the mechanics of the game work, the cards are there to boost the narrative, to really take the narrative to a new level. So things you can do with your playing cards. When you're shooting, okay, you could use your playing cards to boost the damage of that sniper shot or whatever that you've just took.
So to do those extra points just to kill someone and get them off the table. Which
This only applies to heroes, though, isn't it? So it's
And not only to boost the damage, you can also use the cards to save yourself.
Yes, for your defense. The other one was there's actually these two new little henchmen who also get a limited use of the cards, Lukas was saying, which is really cool. Fine, you're burning more of your resource, but you're doing more cool stuff.
So the cards are there, they can give you boosts and things, but the other thing a card can do is you can actually use cards to try and steal an activation. So you might see, especially when there's more players playing, you might see something happening on the board. A sequence of events has just taken place on the board where you go, I need to move, and I need to do it right now. I can impact this game right now if I do this. And then if you have a card, you say, I'm going to steal the activation, and you play a card face down,
And you bid in.
and everybody else bids in, and whoever put in the highest card
Hooks it.
This is
3 players.
But every time you get rid of a card unnecessarily, that's a card that you might have needed later on. It's genius. I love it.
This is one of the mechanics I was talking about. I didn't realize we were going to go into that amount of detail, but that's particularly one that I think if you're playing the game and you've got 3 or 4 players, nobody feels left out.
Yeah.
Because it's sitting going, will I, won't I, the whole time.
Yeah, but it really can cripple you if you do it wrong. Because there was one point
Part of
in
the
game,
fun, though, isn't it?
Yeah, there was one point where I wanted to steal the initiative off Warren, I think. I put my bid in. Sam bid and won. So not only did I lose my activation that time, Sam got an extra and Warren got his normal after it.
Yeah, so in trying to actually steal an activation, you ended up losing an activation as well.
Essentially, yeah.
It is
So
fabulous.
it really does give it great tactical depth.
I want to talk a little bit about the world of Volsung, because I want to start putting this into some perspective for you. There is a Kickstarter, okay?
Yes.
This is all leading up to this Kickstarter. We're expecting the Kickstarter, what, mid-June?
Mid-June, yeah.
And currently there are 3 factions. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Well, right now we have the Ashen Oak Club, which are the aristocrats.
The
which is
aristocrats.
The upper crust.
Yes, the posh club in the Lioness. They are just overflowing with wealth and have every possibility to exercise their power on the streets of Lioness.
And the
they take
Lioness is like London.
Lioness, yeah, it's basically the biggest, the most advanced, the most teeming with immigrant city on the world of Volsung.
And what we've built here was a little quiet corner of Lioness with the dockyard and the river there. So it's based on a planet, on a world similar to ours, but there are some differences. But there are themes that you'll recognize, like the Far East, like Dakan, which is your kind of the Middle East, and Lioness, which has that kind of European London kind of
There's
feel to it.
Trollheim, so this is like the Scandinavia.
The Nordics, yeah.
The Nordics, yeah, and the trolls live there and walk the streets and drink their tea.
Yeah, well, this is another thing I love about the background to this is we've all seen fantasy cliches, okay? We talk about cliches in fantasy. Fantasy is a cliche. It's, where there are dragons, there are trolls,
You
there
have
are
the general
elves,
tropes.
there are things. And you think you know what you're expecting with those tropes. Not in this game. They're there, but they are not what you expect. So the likes of the Orks are actually intelligent Far Eastern peoples that have magical, mystical spells, and they control the mists and the ether. The inventors have found ways of controlling and harnessing the elementals and can harness the spirit of the elementals. But one of the beautiful things in it, and I love this, was there are trolls. Okay, now these trolls start out as elegant, quite beautiful looking people, but rather tall.
Quite angular.
You know, but as with trolls, there is a curse, and they cannot escape their curse, and that's the hunger. And as they grow, they feed, and as they get older, they grow and grow and grow until a point where they snap
Yeah.
and they go feral. And then at this point, it's no longer troll, it's troll!
At which point the trolls are still, troll, go hunting.
I love this. You could be in one of the gentlemen clubs in Lioness, and the trolls are there sipping their tea or having a gin and tonic.
A game of whist.
You know, a game of, yes, yeah, and they'd be talking, oh, you know, it's just, and then they'll pick up their weapons and go out and hunt their grandfather. I love it. I talk about it in the demo game. It is fabulous. I love all the tropes are there, but they're just far different from what you'd expect. There are dragons, however, the dragons in Volsung are like the size of mountain ranges.
Yeah, they are huge.
As you know, so the dragons are, you know, almost like owners of the territories, and you know the peoples are
They are
making.
the prehistoric creatures that has inhabited this land before all other races. So all the other intelligent races just at some point when the dragons woke up and the people were at certain civilized level, they just struck deals with them. So the dragons are actually protecting certain regions.
Oh, very cool.
There are also vampires in it, but not many vampires, because these are the kinds of vampires that could decimate a city. They're very, very powerful.
So very super.
Very, you know, these are vampires at a whole other level. So the three current factions are the aristocrats, that Justin absolutely adores. There's a guy in it with a big, massive mechanical arm.
That actually gave me my favourite cinematic moment from... We played a game before we filmed the actual demo game. I had Alexander Armstrong with his butler standing right next to the train. Sam had his leader, who had just run out of this warehouse and down here out of the way, at which point I was able to spend one of my cards and go, I see you there, tally-ho, jump over the train, jump off the ledge, jump down, with the fist going down, whap, straight onto his head, squishing him. I'm sorry, but that's the most cinematic moment I had in the entire game, and it was beautiful.
It's stuff like that that makes it.
You mean apart from the point where you ripped someone out through a window?
No, you see, he did that, and then he did that as well.
Oh, right, so he also ripped him out through a window, didn't he?
Yeah, because he ran back up the stairs because he had just got shot by a guy from this window, punched through the window, punched the guy in the face, then grabbed him by the shirt and went, come here, you.
And threw him.
Riff-raff.
And threw him, yeah?
Yeah, he chucked him.
So that's the aristocrats, very aristocratic.
Yes, quite proper, quite English.
The money is what drives them. The money gives them the
Money,
ability.
adventure.
Yes,
and all the
money
lovely
gives them the
ladies.
ability to do what they want.
Yes.
And what they want is their hobby, and they're good at it. Yeah. So, we also have the inventors, and I've played a little bit with the inventors, and there's some beautiful synergies with the models, as you will see, and that's one of the things that really sets this game apart for me. If any of you guys enjoy your War Machine and stuff like that, you're going to love this game because it has those beautiful synergies where models give each other buffs and things and allow them to do incredible and interesting things. And then we have the triads?
The triad of the Lotus Dragon.
The triad of the Lotus Dragon.
Yeah, so this is just single triad that is operating in the Lioness.
Yep.
There may be more, we don't know that. And the triad are dealing with like the obscure stuff, like smuggling and trafficking and, you know, not really the noble stuff. So they are the obvious opposition to the aristocrats.
The Kickstarter, though, is going to hopefully bring us 2 new factions.
Yes, we will bring this up to 5 factions, 5 playable factions. We will add the Scylla. The Scylla is like the mafia,
Oh, yes.
but with a twist. All the mobsters are halflings.
Oh, it's like a halfling mafia.
This is going to be very interesting.
In the Scylla, the leadership is held by the grandmothers, the godmothers.
The Godmothers.
Godmothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they tap with the ether, and they bring forth monstrosities with tentacles, and they.
We love our tentacles.
And then you have your fedora wearing Tommy gun armed halfling mobsters sweeping the streets.
Oh, fantastic! And what's the other faction then?
The 5th faction will be what's left in this world of the Venereer. Venereer was the archlich, the undead archlich that started the Great War and went missing at the end of the war. So This faction will be the agents that are crawling out of hiding and reactivating the hidden pockets of the undead.
So is this is our kind of undead and the zombies and things like that?
But also with a twist. There will be like ghouls that are just standing up from their graves that were then not buried properly. But the zombies in this game are actually built in laboratories. So you have to actually insert the gem that will have the soul that will control the zombie.
So it's more Frankenstein's monster kind of thing? That's very cool.
That is very cool.
In the deepest levels of those laboratories, you have necro golems built.
Right. Now a golem.
Yes.
My faction. I'm claiming the scientists. You see this?
I'm
my
claiming
faction.
the aristocrats.
So my faction, the scientists, have golems. Now golems are kind of mechanical constructs that are autonomous. So they're like robots, but they're like steampunk robots. So they're really cool.
Golem?
That's a major golem. That one. So, but are you saying that the undead will also have kind of necrotic golems?
They better have, because in the Great War there were lots of golems used, and the ones that answer the commands only in the Votanian language, those may have tapped on the undead side.
This sounds
So-
interesting.
What other kinds of things? Obviously, you're not going to give everything away for this Kickstarter because I've no doubt you'll have some surprises up your sleeves. But generally, what are we seeing from the Kickstarter? Is this expanding the rules? Are they likely to see a new rule book potentially from the likes of this, or an expansion? Or
there will be like an expansion book that will contain the rules for the 2 new factions, as well as all the clarifications that concerning the factions that are already released. Also, we have released some new miniatures during the time between the last book was published and now. So the new book will contain all those updated characters. And
we'll have to wait and see for the rest of it. I'm really looking forward to it.
what I can say is that all of those factions will have a different playstyle. Everyone will have his distinct playstyle, and there will be a blast.
Do you know what? I fully believe that. It's
Distinct playstyle is a good thing to bring up, because the faction that you were playing did this very strange thing where you had to get people in various locations with mirrors.
I have This is Ingrid.
Troll.
Right, Ingrid is my troll. She's a troll scientist. She's very beautiful. She carries a laser weapon, right? So she has a steampunk laser beam kind of weapon.
Yeah.
And she has 3 little, are they golems as well? 3 golems?
Golems.
Little robots.
Like clockwork golems.
Yeah, little clockwork robots, each on its own base with a mirror. And what you do is you activate your golems and you move them around. To try and get them
advantageous positions.
To try and get them into advantageous positions, because what she then does is fire her weapon off the mirrors, and you can bounce it off multiple mirrors to reach a point where it does damage.
You could shoot and do a U-turn.
Yes, you if you had them, you could shoot pew 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 into there. It is
This is
fabulous.
This is a sniper who can potentially damage several models with one shot.
And the other thing is, I believe if I've got the rules correct on this, if I have set up 2 golems in the right way, she could fire a shot and it bounce off a golem and bounce back to a golem and do multiple damage.
Well, it could bounce back only once out of each mirror, but you could get model damage twice by the same beam,
which would really hurt. I felt the pain of this little sniper.
Oh, it's absolutely great. I love it.
It's cracking.
I also have a hero who rides around on a mechanical flea.
Yes, there he is on the table.
Large mechanical flea, and he's just fabulous. I just absolutely love it. And he can carry golems and jump them all around to all sorts of weird places.
It was really weird watching you play, because you were like, I'm going to boing into this place.
Yes, I'm going to boing into this place, and it really was so narrative. It's the kind of game. I have to say, if you, like I've said, if you have a group of friends you like to get together and play games. Munchkin, for example.
Yeah.
This would be your new Munchkin, without a doubt. You'd get together, you could buy the terrain. The terrain looks beautiful even without a touch of paint. When the terrain goes together, it just looks beautiful straight out of the box. You'd put it together, you put together a small play space, because although you can play on 3x3, I gotta say, our demo game didn't really we could have played it in 2x2.
Yeah, it's really focused in on the action.
It's that intimacy that it does focus things. If you wanted to spread out a little bit more, you can create missions with multiple objectives and things like that. We focused in on one objective just to try and bring the play style in, but you can do whatever you want with this game. It's the mechanics are flow easily, the ability to outwit the other players and to cause moments of tension all the way through the game. It's just
every time you
fabulous.
see someone else activating, you're seeing what they're doing, and you're trying to figure out each and every reaction of each of your models that still has to activate.
And it's the kind of game that it doesn't have so many special rules that you're going to forget how to play it. This is the kind of game that the rules, the basic rules are very quick to learn, very easy to learn, and then the other rules you need are on the stat cards of the characters.
But these just add the character to the model.
Yeah. You're not going to become encumbered by the rules.
Well, I like that roll dice and just look for 4+.
Yeah, it's nice and simple. You always know what you're looking for. 4 is to pass. The only thing you're working out is the number of dice, and that's on the stat cards. And
And then it's very
clear.
simple to work out your pluses and minuses.
So, one of you lucky crew are going to win yourself 2 starter sets, a warehouse, an apartment block, and a set of raised platforms, which, believe me, for your first game, is going to be wonderful. You're going to have a wonderful game with that.
Forget,
plenty of
you
terrain.
get a rule book as well.
You get a rule book as well in that. I needn't forget that. Now, to win that, all you have to do is comment below here on Beasts of War, or comment on this video on YouTube, or comment on the post for this video on Facebook. We will then be picking a winner at random, and in the next Weekender, we'll be announcing our winner, and you will then get this shipped out to you. And who knows, if you get this in time, you'll be able to play this a bit before the Kickstarter, because I just know once you've played this, you're going to be straight onto that Kickstarter going, I want in! So get posting below, guys. You know, I cannot say how delighted I am to be able to give one of you guys this set, because the terrain is beautiful, the miniatures are so characterful, they're really well done. But you know what, more than that, this game just rocks. You're going to laugh your socks off playing this. It is that good. Get a good group of friends and you will love it.
Basically, just get some general silliness.
I think you're right, because I watched you, Sam, and Justin play it, and you guys just lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Lukas, thank you so much for coming all the way over to spend some time with us to record the demo game. Myself and Lukas are going to record a few more episodes where we look at some of the quirks and twists and turns of this game that we're going to put out over the next few months, you know, just to let you guys see some of the other aspects of this game. But Lukas, I've got to say that if we don't get you back soon after that Kickstarter to take us through more of this, we'll be going to Poland ourselves to drag you back, because it has been fabulous.
You're welcome.
Guys, that about wraps it up. At this stage of the show, I'm going to take 2 seconds to say, join Backstage. If you want to join Backstage, we're running a hobby lab at the moment where we're building our 40K city board. The first episode is already up. Next week, the next episode goes up, and we're going to be doing other stuff in among that as well. It's a really good series. We have a lot of fun making it, and we're making some great boards, and you learn some interesting techniques and some cool stuff. So if you're interested in building an amazing city board and learning some of the techniques that we actually ended up using on this board, that's the show to come and watch. We also have a fabulous series by the resident painter Romain, called Technique Toolbox. Technique Toolbox is a series of short instructional videos to take you through the essential techniques of painting, okay? I'm raising it again because one has just went up called, what's it called? It's called pre-shading.
Yes.
Okay? This, I believe everybody should watch. If you base coat your miniatures, you want to watch this episode on pre-shading. It's where Romain takes you through a very simple but highly, highly effective step during the priming of your models that allows you to get 80% of your shading already done before you even start painting it. And it gives you a beautiful way that as you're painting it, the model kind of shades itself.
Yeah, it gives you a guide by eye.
So, if you're interested in that, hop on over and join Backstage. And of course, tomorrow morning, every Sunday morning, we have the extended version of this show, which is like a whole other version of this show that goes out, and it's called The Weekender XLBS, and we would love to see you there. Finally, on top of all that, in the links below are links to a 7-day free trial of Backstage. So if you're curious, but not quite sold, well, click that link and you'll get a 7-day free trial, because I'm pretty sure by the end of the 7 days that you'll feel the love and you'll stick around and be a big part of the community.
And the other thing is, if you're into terrain and stuff, when you're in the backstage, have a look around, because there's some free printout terrain and stuff.
We've done some printable city terrain. There's a load of stuff in Backstage. There are hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content in there that is all, I think, interesting, high-value stuff. So, guys, that's it. What a monster episode.
Phew,
Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early on Sunday, all you Backstagers anyway. And look, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Always good to have you guys on the show. Have a great, great week's gaming.
Good.